hello. I hope all of you can hear me, see me really well. Please use that chat and let me know if you can. I am here again. I'm hoping you were around for the opening ceremony a couple of hours ago and you did really see me already. But for this stream here, I am here to welcome someone from the Cloudflare team. I'm sure you've gone through the schedule already. You've kind of figured out what we're going to do here. But if you are among those people who have seen the Cloudflare logo at some point, I'm sure when you were browsing through a random website, there were some security checks that have come your way. But you probably have absolutely no clue of what all of that is all about. This is really a good opportunity for you to do all of that. And in here, I'm particularly excited because the person coming here to speak is one of our ex community members, an MLH community member in the past, who's doing really, really great things now at Cloudflare. But before we get there, I want to quickly make sure that you have a chance to earn your points. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about here, but in case you are joining us for the first time for a stream this week, you need to make sure that whenever you go to a live stream and you are watching a live stream, you go use this link to register and check in. And that's a way for you to earn points that all add up during the week. There's a leaderboard that we maintain internally. There's also swag that you can win with all of that. If you're still confused, go watch the recording from the opening ceremony on our YouTube channel. You will find what all of that means. But without much ado, I now want to call up Harshil, who's going to be introducing you to the world of Cloudflare, introducing you to a project that he's wanting to demo to us today. Harshil, if it's a good time, I'll pass this on to you and we'll be backstage to help you around.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hey everyone, I am super excited to be back on an MLH stream. I used to do what Siddharth is doing right now, and it's super amazing to be on the other side of this. If you don't know me, as Siddharth mentioned, I used to be an MLH coach, and now I work as a developer educator at Cloudflare. So if you folks want to connect with me on any of the social media platforms that you use, you can find the link on my website. That's Harshil.dev. We're gonna share the link in the chat. The link is in the chat now. So you can just go ahead and just follow me or like just send me a connection request wherever you want to connect with me. All right. So what we are gonna do today is build an API because this global hack week is all around an API. But before that, I thought we're gonna build an API, but let's also have some fun with that. So I built this postcard generator. So you can all go on this URL, which we're gonna share in the chat. So you can go on this URL and try to generate a postcard from your city, and make sure you do share it with me and also like tag at the red Cloudflare dev because I want to see which city you are all coming in from. So while you are doing that, let me give you a quick brief of how this was built. Now, as the title says, it's an AI postcard generator. We are using an AI model to generate the images. But again, this is the front end. In this stream, we are going to focus only on the backend. We're going to build the backend or the API from scratch, and we're going to deploy it on Cloudflare Workers. Now, if you are on this particular link right now, you would also see that it shows a location for you. Now, this is going to be a location, not exactly maybe your city, but a city that is close to you. And this is something that is very unique to Cloudflare Workers. Now, if you haven't used Cloudflare Workers, I am more excited to tell you about it, but I'm also curious to know how many of you have used Cloudflare Workers AI, or any of the Cloudflare products. So let us know in the chat what products have you used and what have you built with Cloudflare. And I see someone mentioning that they have built something with Cloudflare. That's awesome. I would love to see what you have built, and together we're going to build something fun today as well. So, okay. So you can go ahead, try to generate a postcard. I am going to refresh and see if people have, generated the postcard for themselves. I see there are new folks who have not used Cloudflare and this is going to be the first time they're using Cloudflare. That's fantastic. So for the folks who are using Cloudflare for the first time, and if you are a student who have like a .edu email, you can sign up for Cloudflare for students offering that we have. So you get a free paid account for a year, which is fantastic. And to be honest, I feel a bit jealous that I did not had those opportunities when I was a student. But this is a great time to go get those uh, get those credits, use it, and build stuff. So you can see here the link is again in the chat. Go ahead, sign up for a free account. We're gonna use a Cloudflare account to deploy our application, and you would also need a Node.js installed on your machine. So make sure you have Node.js installed on your machine so that you can run the application. All right, I'm gonna hit refresh to check if people have created any kind of postcard, and I see a lot of people have created postcards. All right, I like Phoenix because it's the name of the city, but it's like the Phoenix, the creature. I love it. We got people from Guwahati, Shripu, Delhi, Phoenix, Be- Belgavi, Garden Grove, Kathmandu, Seattle. All right, so we got people from all over the world, and I love it. So if you keep on refreshing it, you will be able to see, new cities coming in. And there's Surat over here. I am originally from Vadodara, Gujarat. So it's good to see someone from Surat, which is a nearby city. Okay. I am seeing a lot of chat going on. Keep them coming in. Keep that coming in. If you have any questions, do let me know, and I'll be happy to take it throughout this session. All right. So enough of me talking. Let's dive into the action and see what we gonna or how we gonna build the API. So we're gonna use a couple of tools to do this, and I'm gonna walk you step by step on how we're gonna do it. So let me open up my terminal. Here is my terminal, and as I mentioned, you need to have Node.js installed. So make sure you have Node.js installed, and I'm gonna quickly copy a command. And don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you what I am doing and why I am doing this. So over here is the command npm create Cloudflare. And the latest flag is to make sure I am using the latest package. Then there are two hyphens, and then I'm defining the name of this project. I'm going to call it image generation API. And because on workers, you can have whatever JavaScript framework you want to deploy. So you can just do hyphen framework, and then you can define Hono. So over here, we are gonna use Hono. Again, don't worry if you haven't used Hono before. Hono is a lot of people's favorite framework, and I'm gonna quickly show you as well. This is the wrong thing. Okay. So if I do Hono.dev, as you can see, it's like a web application framework where you can just build your full stack applications. And the syntax is quite user friendly and it's quite easy to use. If I go to the talks, all you have to do is import the Hono package. Once you import that particular package, you instantiate a new Hono app and then you define the route. So if it's a get request, you're gonna do app.get. If it's a post request, you're gonna do app.post and stuff like that. You then define a route on which path this request should be handled. And then we have a function which will return over here, Hono, right? So this is what we are going to do. We're going to define a couple of endpoints and we're going to add some functionalities to those endpoints. All right, so this command, I'm going to hit enter and it is going to help generate a new project for me. Yes, let's install the package. All right, I'm going to try to share the command in the chat as well. So you should be able to get the command in the chat as well. So as you can see, it is creating the application for me. Now it is asking me if I want to create a Git version of this. Basically, like initialize it as a Git repository. I'm gonna say yes. Where is my mouse? All right. And then do I want to deploy the application? Now you can go ahead and deploy the application and it is going to get deployed to your Cloudflare account. But for now, I am going to say no because I want to add some more functionalities before I go ahead and deploy it. So I'm going to say no. And my application is bootstrapped for me. So I can open up my application, image generation API, I'm going to open up in VS Code. You can use whatever code editor you are using. And here is my VS Code with the application. All right, so far, so good. Do we have any questions coming in? Do we have any problems that people are facing? I'm going to give this a couple of seconds while I sip some water. You can post your questions in the chat or let me know you're good with me, you're on this particular step, and we can move forward from there. I am seeing a few questions about the event link. So maybe we can share that again, make sure that, okay. So the event link is now in there. That should work. If not, just let us know. Can you explain again what you did? Absolutely. So what we did was we just ran the npm create Cloudflare command. So if I open up a new tab for my terminal, and if I do npm create, so this is the command that I ran, and it bootstrapped the project for me. So create Cloudflare is our own CLI, which helps you create a Cloudflare application. Think of it like a way to create an application that you will be deploying on Cloudflare quickly. And then this is the name of the application that we want to have. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it postcard generation API, basically whatever you want to call it. And then in here, I am passing in the framework. Now, you can use this particular method, or a simpler way, if you'd want to keep it simple, is to like just do npm create Cloudflare, hit enter, and it is going to ask you all the questions. So what do you want to call it? I'm going to say demo API. Which particular framework do I want to use, or I want to go with like a hello world example? I know I want a framework, so I'm going to go with the framework starter. And in here, as you can see, there are a lot of different frameworks that you can use. There's Astro, there's Hono, there's Next, there's React, React Router, TenStack, SwellKit, Solid, Vue, whatever you want to use. For this one, we're going to use Hono because we are focused on building an API. So I'm going to click on enter. It's going to install the project dependencies for me. I'm going to wait for a couple of seconds while it does that. And then it's going to ask me another question. If I want to have it as a Git, initialize it as a Git repository, I can say yes or no. For now, I'm just going to say yes. And then on deployment, I'm just going to say no. And I have now a new project that is demo API. So if I do ls in here, I can see all the files for this particular project. Okay. I hope that is clear and that helps you with the next steps. And I see a question: is the students plan only for US students? So we are working on it. We are trying to expand it outside of the US. So that is coming in. I would say keep an eye out on our socials, because I am really passionate about like the student community. So I'm gonna make sure that we get it to a lot of people out there. Okay, coming back to the previous tab, to our original application, I have it in here. What I have done is open up in my code editor, which is over here. And I am now going to walk you through the project structure, because it is really important for you to understand what the project structure looks like before we start jumping into the code. Now, over here in the Cloudflare world, everything that you do is going to be around a concept called bindings. And all these bindings are defined in a wrangler.json file. So as you can see, this is nothing but a JSON file which contains some metadata for Cloudflare to know what this project is about. Now, this is the name of our application. It says which is the entry point for the application. You don't have to really worry about the compatibility date. And you don't really have to worry about assets. This is if you are deploying like a front end as well. This is the default project that we have. So it is going to have the assets for us. And then there is observability. So if you are actually having an application in production and you want to, have some kind of observability on understanding like what requests are being made, how are people using the application. If you want to have the log tracing in there, all those kind of things, you can have it with observability in here. So that's that. You can add more bindings, and we're gonna do that throughout the workshop. Again, a couple of the challenges that I know for the cloud from Cloudflare for this particular week is deploying an API on Cloudflare Workers and using a binding for that. So in this stream, I am gonna cover both of that, which will help you complete those challenges. All right. So this is the wrangler.jsonc file. Again, feel free to put in any kind of questions that you might have. Happy to answer them as we move forward. The next is the worker configuration file. This is like mainly a type file. We don't really have to worry about it. It gets automatically generated. We have a command for that which generates this for you. So you don't really have to worry about this. This is the ts config file, which is which contains all the configuration for your for your TypeScript compiler. There is the README file, just the basic README or the information around that. Here is the packet.jsonc file that we usually see in any of the Node applications. Then there is the package log file, gitignore file, and then the source directory. And this is the index.js file, and this is where we are going to write the code, right? As you can see, it is importing Hono. It is creating a new Hono app, right? There is some bindings over here, which is defined for us. And then there is an endpoint, which is message, and there is a message that says hello Hono, right? So let's do this. Let's go ahead and start the server to see this in action. Let me clear this out. I'm going to do npm run dev. This is going to start my local server. I'm going to hit enter and it opens up on port 8787. So if I click on it, it opened on the wrong window. So let me try to open it up in here. So this is the static front end that we have. But if I go to /message, we now see hello Hono as the message. I can come in here, change it to hello MLH, come back, save this, and now we see hello MLH in here, right? So far, what we did, we bootstrapped the project using the create Cloudflare CLI, and we simply ran the server with npm run dev, and we tested out this particular endpoint. All right. Then there is the public directory file. This is the directory where you would want to have any kind of assets that you want to get served from that particular URL. Again, the focus is going to be building on APIs. So that is what I am going to do. I'm not going to like go into the public directory, but if you want, you can just go in there. It has an index.html file, which gets served on the index route. Okay, so far, so good. Let me know in the chat, how are we doing? If there are anything that you want, that you folks have questions around, if you want to know more, I am happy to answer them as we move forward. Right, so I am going to move forward, but again, if you have any questions. Okay, that's a good question. So you are confused what is the need of Cloudflare? That's a wonderful question, and I'm going to try to answer it, but throughout the workshop, as we go and like add more functionalities, you will get a better idea, right? So Cloudflare, most of you might have seen the Cloudflare logo when you are trying to fill out a form. It asks you if you are a human or not, or if you are like on a website. The first thing you might see is like the Cloudflare logo, and then you are able to access the website. So Cloudflare basically started out as like a network and a security company. So you see everywhere when you talk about like online security, Cloudflare is the company that a lot of people use. But over the years, everything that we build for our customers, we have now made it available to the developers out there. So a workers platform, which is what we're going to use to deploy our application, is what we internally use to build our own products. So this is why you need Cloudflare. Let's just say you build this API, right? But now the question is, where do you host this API to make it available to everyone? You might need to think about it. You can like provision a server if you want, but then you have to manage the servers yourself. Also, because you asked me this question, I'm going to go back to our demo, which is over here. One of the other things that is very unique to Cloudflare Workers is that it gets served, the request gets served from our servers, which is closer to the user. So if you are trying to access this application, it's not going to show you Berlin DE. It will show you a region or the city which we have which where we have our servers where your request is getting served for this particular application. So don't have to you don't have to worry about the latency. We take care of that. So yeah, uh, that's another thing, and this is why you need Cloudflare, because we take care of everything. You don't need to worry about scalability, reliability, and because we are the pioneers in security, we also make sure that your applications are secure. Okay, I am gonna move forward now. I'm gonna come back to the next questions once we add a few more things in our application, because I want to make sure that we have something functional at the end of this tree. So now that we have a Hono application, what we want to do is we want to have an endpoint where we can take in a user's city, right? And for that, what I am going to do is I'm going to create a post endpoint with the route slash API. I'm going to say slash image and then slash city. This is going to then be an async function, which is going to take a context and return something. For now, let's just take the user's input. So I'm going to say const city equals await this, and then we are going to simply return c.json the city. So we're not doing any functionality right now. We're just taking the user input, that is the city, and then we're just returning that back to the user. So if I make a request, I'm going to open Postman in here. I'm going to go to post, do localhost 87 slash API slash image slash city. And in the body, I'm going to send a JSON object. Berlin and send this request. And we can see that we get the response over here. So far, so good. We make a post request, we get the response back. So things are working well for us. But this is not doing anything right now. What we want to really do is make use of AI to generate an image prompt. Because if you just give a very generic prompt to AI, it is not really going to give you a good result. It is not going to give you a good image output. So over here, now this is where we're going to use something called Workers AI. So I'm going to open up the docs for that. Now, before I talk about the models and stuff, I'm going to do a quick introduction of what Workers AI is and why you should think about trying it out. So, as I mentioned, with Workers, when you deploy an application, it gets deployed to all our servers. So, whenever your user is trying to access your application, that user's request gets served in a server which is closer to them, which reduces latency drastically and gives them a better performance. You also don't need to really worry about scalability for that reason. Now, the same concept applies to Workers AI. With Workers AI, we host open source models on our GPUs. Now, this is again spread across the globe, which means that if your user is trying to access this AI application, the request is going to get served from a data center which is close to them. So again, your not request is not going to travel to, let's just say, from Australia all the way to Germany just to get the request served. It's going to happen, all the processing is going to happen in Australia or somewhere around Australia. Okay, let's do this. I am gonna implement Workers AI, and then I am gonna take some questions. I think that would be a good way of managing the time over here. So for this, we are gonna use the GPT model, the GPT OSS model. These are the recent open source models from OpenAI that you can use again from Workers. Now, the docs contain all the pricing information, like there are some code examples in here that we can use out of the box. Now, I already have the code with me, so I'm gonna make use of it. I don't want to like start writing everything from scratch. And don't worry, you don't have to also do the same. Don't worry about like, hey, just wait for me. I also want to type everything. Don't worry about it. At the end of this session, I am gonna share a GitHub repository where you will find everything that I am showing right now. For now, just focus on like adding like small things here and there. Try to understand or try to grab the concept and ask any questions that you might have. All right. So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to have a variable called image prompt. This is where we're gonna basically like shave, not shave, but this is what we're gonna assign a actual image prompt that is gonna be generated from Workers AI. In this, now I am using Workers AI through bindings. Now remember, initially I told that we are gonna use bindings, and that's what we are doing over here right now. So if I open my wrangler.jsonc file, and because I want to use Workers AI, all I have to do is add AI, and then in here, say binding, and then give it a name. Now it can be anything you want. It can be AI, it can be AI worker, it can be worker just itself, whatever you want to give it a name. The name you give over here is the name that you should be using in your application code. So just make sure you give a name that you remember and you're going to use that in the application code. Right. So now that we have the binding, one good thing about TypeScript is that, okay, I'm just going to skip this for now. One good thing about TypeScript is that it gives us autocomplete. So I can do npm run cf type gen. This is going to generate the types for us. Now that the types are generated, I'm going to do npm run dev. If I come back over here, we see there is no error. So what happened? We did await c.env, and then as you see, we get AI, and then we also get all the different methods that we can run over here. So we are using the run method. In here, we are passing in the model name. Again, you can find the model name from the docs. So this is the model name. You can also look at the example codes to find out what are the inputs, what are the outputs, and stuff like that. So the input I am passing in as the name of the city that we get in from the user, and then the instruction, like what exactly, think of instruction as a system prompt of what this model should be doing with this particular input. Once we have this response, there is one extra step that we need to take, and that is because the GPT models use something called response API. So you want to loop through the response API, get the exact output, and then assign it to our image prompt variable. So I have the code for that in here. So what we are doing is we are checking if we get a response and if that response contains output. If it does, go and find an item which is of the type message and is by the assistant, which means that the message is generated by the AI. Once we get that, we are trying to find a message which has an output text. Now there are, with the response API, and if you are like doing tool calling, you might want to use something like this to just get the output text, right? So this is just a way of how you can get the output text from the response over here. Now that we have it in here, there are some TypeScript errors, but we can skip that. All right, so we are now going to return the city as well as the image prompt. I'm going to save this and I'm going to come over here to my terminal. The reason, because as you can see, it is asking me, hey, which account should we connect this to? Now I have multiple different accounts. I am going to probably go with my free demo account because you might be using the free account as well. And the good thing is, with Workers, you can use it for free on your free account. Workers AI also gives you some free credits, so you can use, I think it's 10,000 neurons a day or a month. You will have to check the docs. Don't quote me on the pricing, but it has some good credits that you can use for free out of the box. So once you select an account and once you connect your account, you can then make a request to this particular same endpoint. Again, we did not change anything for the input of the endpoint. All we did was make use of this input. So we added the AI binding, and then we are using Workers AI to extract the text and generate the image prompt. And then we simply return now the image prompt along with the name of the city. So if I come back in here, click on send, it is now going to use Workers AI under the hood. And as we can see, it has written the city as well as the image prompt. All right. I'm going to take a pause over here. I think we are doing kind of good with time. So I'm going to take a pause over here. I'm going to try to answer any questions that I haven't addressed yet. Only edu emails get pro version. For now, yes, if you have a .edu email, you will get a pro version for free for a year. But as I mentioned earlier as well, we are working on adding more possibilities for every student out there to take take advantage of the Cloudflare for Students offering that we have. So stay tuned for that. It is coming soon. There is a message appears sometimes as too much of traffic detected from your system. I am not sure exactly what is this referring to. So if you can give me more context, I would be it will help me understand it better. There's another question. Can you please show again what you did, the npm commands? Okay. So we have the npm create command. If you scroll on the chat, you will see that command. Once you have that, you can just start the server with npm run dev. So it's this. Let me add I. Okay. And I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna try and open up a new terminal. We were calling it image generation API. Let me try to switch and see if we got the terminal. We close the terminal. Okay. Anyways, oh, is it with bindings? All right. So for bindings, all you have to do is in here, once you add the bindings, you run the cf type gen command, and you can also find that command in. Let me open up the package file. So basically, this is the command that I'm running. npm run cf type gen. If you're using pnpm or yarn or whatever, you can just use this particular script over here, and this is going to generate the types for you. Okay, so that's that question. And I see 404 not found. Hey, how are you doing? It's been long. I know I am good. Excited to be back doing a stream, doing an MLH stream. So super excited and super excited to see you joining in the stream. Thank you for joining. There is a asked for showing the app. Definitely, that app is somewhere here. So this is the app that I showed earlier. We're not going to work on the front end. We're going to just work on the back end for today. You can again just scroll to the top where we have shared the link for this application. Similar message from Cloudflare like human too much traffic from system. That might be because for some reason, if you're using a VPN or something, it might be making too many requests for the to the application or to the website that you're trying to reach, and Cloudflare is detecting it as malicious. So maybe try turning it off or try clearing your cache because it might be making too many requests, and that is why we're blocking you. Okay, coming. Okay, this terminal seems to be stuck right now, so I'm going to go back to the new one. Let me zoom in a bit more again over here. Okay, so what we did, we created an API endpoint which generates the image from, which is good, but we still haven't created an API endpoint which actually generates the image. And for this, I want to try something new. So this is something that you all should try, but just one caveat, don't rely too much on this. You should not be using this a lot. You should be using it for learning, not to just, build things. So it should be showing, but that's not a huge problem. Okay, so at Cloudflare, we have our own MCP servers. So if you are building something on Cloudflare, you can just use our documentation MCP server. Or you can use, if you are like, if you want to take it a step further, there are all the other MCP servers that you can use. So what I have done already is I have configured the documentation MCP server in my Cloud Code, and I am going to ask Cloud Code to tell me what are the models available to generate images, right? So I am going to start an instance of Claude. You can do this with Windsurf, Cursor, whatever AI generation tools you're using. Now, again, just make sure that you are using it for learning purposes and don't encourage anyone to use this for, just building apps out of the box. All right, so the MCP server is connected. Things look good. So I'm going to ask, can you check which Cloudflare Workers AI models I can use to generate images? I am hoping it uses the MCP server. Sometimes it just does a web search. It is using the MCP server. It is asking me if I want to give it the access. I'm going to say yes. It's going to go through the MCP server, check the docs, and then give us a result. Now, this is one way of, like doing it. I already know which model I am going to use, but I'm curious to see what the LLM suggests. Well, okay, that's a lot of search, which is good. I like it. Okay, while it is doing it, let me go to our docs again. And I am gonna come over here, go to models, and again on the models page, you can just filter on and select text to image. You can see all the available models that you can use to basically generate an image from text. For our application, we're gonna use Lucid Origin, which is a model from Leonardo, which is a really good model, as you can see already in the application. The AI is still trying to figure things out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just let it do its stuff, and we're gonna go ahead and add a new endpoint, which is going to generate the image for us. So now that we have the image prompt, the next step is to generate the image. So I'm gonna do app dot, again, this is gonna be a post request, and the autocomplete is giving me a good result, which is good. But we're going to get the prompt, but Let's just also try to get the city over here. And I'll tell you why in a bit. Did it complete? Okay. So it came back with with everything in here. So it told us, all the available models, the with the pricing in here, and an example of how we can use that. So this is just one way of trying to figure out or trying to find more information on how or what things you can use within the Cloudflare ecosystem. So the next step, as I mentioned, we're going to get the prompt from the user. We are going to get the city from the user, and we are going to use this. We're going to use this particular endpoint to generate the image. So I'm going to again, for the interest of time, copy the code that I have already. I'm going to replace this with prompt, and I am not doing anything different in here. I'm just doing the same thing. What I'm doing is I'm getting the user's input, right? Uh, uh, and then just using image generation model in here, as I mentioned, I'm gonna use Lucid Origin, and I am passing it a prompt and then the number of steps. The higher the number of steps, the better the image quality is going to be because it is going to refine it those many times. But also, it's going to take that much time to generate that image, right? So you would have to play a bit with this number, try, which is like more of a trial and error basis on which step number is good for you. Okay, so now we have that. The next thing we want to do is have it is going to return us a base 64 image. So I'm going to do base 64 image is equal to generated image dot image, and I can simply return this. So one thing I also need to do now over here is to convert this into something that I can actually show it out to the end user. So to do that, I am going to use a Node API called Buffer and convert it to base 64. And then DA does it for me. And then basically simply return this out. Now, as I mentioned, I am going to use a Node, what do you call it? A Node API, that is the buffer, that's Node buffer for this. I will have to import it in here. So I'm going to make sure that I have the correct code for that. So let me copy that in here, paste it. If I save it and come back to the terminal, let's exit with this. npm run dev. It should be giving me an error if I try to access the endpoint. So now we have the image prompt. So I'm going to copy this. I am going to create a new API request. Post image, and this point, this was what we called image generate. Okay. So let's come in here, go and change this to generate. Again, we're going to send in a JSON body. This is going to contain the prompt. Pasting the prompt in here. And then we also have the city, which is Berlin. If I hit send, I get an error 404 not found, which is interesting. API image generate. Okay, let me try this once again. Might be a typo. All right. We have the city, we have generate. I am missing out on something and I am not sure what exactly. Let's do this instead of returning the image for now. I'm just gonna say return c.text. Hello. This is a post request. 8787. Send this. That's interesting. So I have probably made a mistake, which I am not able to figure it out right now. So what I am going to do, I'm going to cheat a bit over here, and I am just going to copy and paste the code. Also looking at the time. Okay. So we are also kind of running out of time. So let me just copy and paste the code, walk you all through the code, and show you one more thing, which I see is a question in the chat as well. So let's do that as well. I'm gonna try it one more time with this new code. All right, and one other thing I am going to try. My bad. So throughout we were using the demo API project, while we should have been using the image generation project. So the code was correct, everything was correct. We were just in the wrong project. Fun of life demos. I'm going to do npm run dev. And as I said, we got an error. And this is something I expected. Now, the reason over here is that we are using a Node library, a Node API in a workers environment. And to make sure that we are able to actually use this, we have to add a compatibility flag. Again, you can find everything of around this on the docs. So I can do a compatibility flag and then Node.js compat. Once I have this, I can close the server, restart it, and things look good. So if I come back, we are now using the new endpoint, which is also going to take the name. And if I click send, I get an error, which is fine, which I know why we're getting it, but that's all right. So this is going to, all right, okay. I should be undefined. Okay, all right, never mind. Okay, so let me walk through the code and walk you through of what and why we got the error, because we have only a few minutes left. So while I go through that, I am also going to show you why and what was the error. So we saw that how we can get the input from the user. We also saw this particular step of how we can use an image generation model to generate an image from the user prompt. Over here, we're just checking if we actually got the image or not. If we did not, we send out an error message to the user. But if we do, we get the base64 image, convert it, and we are doing now few more steps. The first, we're creating a key where we are saying it should be postcards, then the name of the city, then the name of the person, and then the date that it got created, and .png, right? And then we are uploading it to an R2 bucket. So let me redo the step so that you all can know and see how this is done. So what I am going to do is go back to my terminal and run the command npm. Let's do npx wrangler R2 bucket. So R2, think of R2 as an object storage where you can store any kind of assets that you want. It can be images, it can be videos, it can be PDF, it can be TXT files, whatever you want. R2 is the place where you can store this. So I'm going to do npx wrangler R2 bucket create and then give this a name where I'm just going to say postcard app demo, hit enter. It is going to create the bucket. I'm going to try it once again. If this does not work, I will have to log in to my Cloudflare account. So if you run into this issues, you can just do npx wrangler login. This is going to take you to a login screen, which is on a different window for me. It is going to be on the same window. All you have to do is just click on the allow button. So I'm going to click on allow on that particular screen. I'm clicking on allow, and as you can see, it says has a message successfully logged in. So I'm now logged into the account, and I should be able to now create a bucket. If not, we will use the dashboard for that. So we got the option. I'm going to go with again my free demo account. It would not work. My free demo account would not work, unfortunately, so I'll have to change that. I'm going to try it again. Still try to see if that works. It is not going to work. And this is because I don't have my credit card configured in here. You're not going to get charged if you put in your credit card information. That is just for verification and making sure that no one misuses R2. So you can go ahead and do it yourself. But once you go through that, you do that. Let me try to see if it allows me to do it with a different account. No, okay. I'm going to try it in the demo project. I just want to show you all how you can do it as well. Now you can also do it from the dashboard, so you don't have to do it from the terminal itself, but you can also go it and do it from the dashboard. Now over here, I'm going to go with my employee account because this has access to that. And it also says like, hey, your bucket is created. Do you want us to add the bindings? I'm going to say yes. And it is asking me what should the binding be called. I generally use bucket in caps. So I'm just going to go for that. And it says, do you want should it be connected to like the actual production bucket or should it be local? I'm going to say no, local is fine. And that's it. So if I show you the Wrangler file for this, you can see that the bucket binding is already added for you. So this is how you can add an R2 bucket, and that's what we are doing in here. Once we have that in our R2 bucket, we can run the type gen command again to generate the bindings. Let's do that as well. I'm going to go back to the terminal. Yeah, npm run cf type gen. Hopefully it generates the type for us. Do we have it in our bindings? We don't have it in our bindings, so it's not going to do that. So let's quickly get it from the other project. But I am gonna like fast track a bit because we are running out of time, and I want to make sure that I am answering any questions that people have. Right. So we got the bindings in here, and now I can do something like await c dot env dot, as you can see, we get the autocomplete. I can put it in here. I can use the put method here, pass on the key, pass on the actual object. So this is going to be the buffer. And then if I want, I can pass on some metadata as well. Right. So this is how you can create an API for a similar application by adding bindings by using Workers AI. Now, as I mentioned, I have a GitHub repo ready. You can go and check out that GitHub repo and see all the code that I have showed you just now. It's called Workshop Build AI App API. Now we're gonna share the link in the chat as well, so you have the access for this. Everything that I showed today, you can find it in here. It has all the steps on how you can do it, like everything again that I covered in here, how you can start a new project, what are the endpoints to add, what are the code in that particular endpoint, and what is, like how you can create the application, how you can create an R2 bucket, how you can retrieve an object, and how you can deploy. Now the deployment is something I really want to show you all. So what I am going to do is I'm going to skip the R2 part for now because I don't have a bucket, so I cannot show you the R2 part. Right, so I'm just going to remove this. And now if I want to deploy this particular application, all I have to do is run npm run deploy. And it is going to do all the bundling, every magic that is needed, and deploy the application for me. That is uploading the assets. Looks good. Successfully deployed. And we should have a link which we can use right out of the box. So here is the link to my application. So I can copy this, come back to our endpoint in here, and I can just send the same request. I'm just gonna say Berlin, give me a prompt. I'm gonna send it, and it is gonna generate the response for us. And as you can see, it generated the response for us, right? So this is how you can simply build and deploy a full stack application on Cloudflare. Now, we got hardly I don't know how much time we have got left. So I'm gonna try to see, like, quickly go through the chat and see what questions we have. Okay, we have just a minute, so I'm just gonna try to see if there is like any pressing question in there. I think I answered the question, where is the image getting stored? It is getting stored in an R2 bucket. So that's already there. All right. So again, folks, if you wanna, try to do it by yourself, if you wanna do it yourself, here's the GitHub repo. Go ahead, try to deploy it. It shows how you can deploy an application on Cloudflare Workers, which is one of the challenges for this week. Also, the other challenges of using bindings. I just showed you the bindings for Workers AI and R2, but there are a lot of different products that you can use for your API. So go ahead, check it out on how you can use your own or how you can build your own Cloudflare application. And again, if you want to connect with me, all you have to do is go to Harshil.dev, find the social media platform where you want to connect with me, and send me a request, and I will be happy to connect with you and chat with you. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harshil. That was a really, really in-depth walkthrough of what you were trying to do here. Thank you also for walking us through a couple of challenges. I'm sure everybody who was watching you in the chat would now be able to get some points and also get closer to winning swag this week. Well, with that, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. You're going to get a couple of minutes to go grab some water and do what you need to before we go to our next stream, which is going to be with someone really special from the Odd Zero team. So make sure to stay tuned, make the most of this week. Harshil, thank you again so much, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Bye.